The time is just gone 9:50 a.m. and it's time now to look at the U.S. military adventure into Mozambique. And we know Mozambique has been a problem area right up north in Mozambique. And this morning we joined on the line by Dr. Mustafa Mheta, who has got a PhD. He's a graduate in Semitic languages and cultures, also a scholar in the complete sense of the word, and also a senior researcher, head of Africa Desk with the Media Review Network. He's written a piece and it is entitled U.S. Military Adventure into Mozambique, Unacceptable. Dr. Mustafa, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, Brother Inayat.
Welcome. Jazakallah khairan so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Mustafa. Juma Mubarak to you as well. But just looking at this piece that you have written, and you referred to AFRICOM. You referred to AFRICOM and the U.S. Army on African soil. Now, we've seen this in the past and we've learned many lessons out of Africa with the presence of foreign troops in the guise of providing all sorts of things, humanitarian assistance, military training. And here we're talking about Mozambique, right on our doorstep, our neighbor, and we're talking about the U.S. military, Dr. Mustafa. I think we have got a bit of a problem. Once again, signal issues. Perhaps we'll try and see if we can't get hold of Dr. Mustafa on audio, because sometimes we have this problem when it comes to the video interviews. But we will definitely get hold of Dr. Mustafa, because this is obviously a very, very interesting discussion. This is something that is of major concern at this point in time, Mozambique, and we know what has been taking place with regard to northern Mozambique in particular, and all sorts of players actually that are involved. But at the end of the day, it is a humanitarian crisis that has been looming for a very, very long time. In fact, that humanitarian crisis has occurred. Many, many people have had to escape. Many are in abject poverty at this point in time. Earlier on, we were talking about Yemen. We're talking about displacement. We're talking about hunger. We're talking about famine. And right on our doorstep, right next door to us, our neighbors, Mozambique, experiencing exactly the same thing. Dr. Mustafa, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh once again.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you for inviting me, Brother Inayat.
Right, Dr. Mustafa, the point that I had raised, and we see with organizations like AFRICOM, we see foreign involvement on African soil over and over again in the guise of providing humanitarian support, humanitarian help, military support. But there is always an agenda that is playing out. And we see what is happening right next door in Mozambique. And you've written this piece about the U.S. military adventure.
Oh, yes. Definitely the developments going on in Mozambique are very worrying to all of us citizens of Southern Africa. What is happening in Mozambique is as a result of some resource which was, discovered in the northern part of Mozambique, in Cabo Delgado province, and that is oil and gas. So ever since the discovery of the oil and gas, all of a sudden we begin to see the so-called, ISIS and Al-Qaeda terrorists coming out and fighting, the government, saying, we want, the resources to be used, the proceeds from the resources to be used in this, part of the world. So, yes, it is a very worrying, situation. And what worries us most is the coming in of the U.S. military, offering to assist in their words, saying, with training the Mozambican army. And then one has questions, to ask. Why the Americans coming all that way to assist to train the Mozambican army today how to fight terrorists. Mozambique has been at war for years. We all know that with Renamo, and I'm sure there is some a lot of experience that has been accrued by the Mozambican defense forces over the years. And besides that, we don't just understand that in Southern Africa, which has or hosts some of the Africa's most experienced armies. We have the South African Defense Forces, the South African National Defense Forces, which is one of the best. We have a very experienced army in the form of Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, for instance, the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Angola Defense Forces. We have Botswana. We have all these armies which are quite experienced. Can't they train the Mozambican army, or can't they move in and assist as SADC? Provide a homegrown solution to what is going on in Mozambique. And why allow this army, which we suspect very much, because once they set their boots, they put their boots on the ground, it will be very difficult to get them out. And this is the experience, for sure. It will be very difficult to get them out of Mozambique. The Mozambican government should just ask Japanese. On the island of Okinawa, I've, over the years, mayor in, voted out, and the issue has been to get the U.S. Army out of Okinawa for years, and they've refused to get out. So I hope the Mozambican government knows what they are doing, because this might get out of hand.
Well, certainly is, Dr. Mustafa, and I think from what you're saying, you cited the example of Japan, but also we've seen it with Iraq. We see what has happened in Afghanistan. Wherever the United States of America has deployed its army and its troops to get them out, they basically become so deeply entrenched in these countries. And the point that you are making very, very strongly is we don't have homegrown solutions, or we're not providing homegrown solutions despite having the capacity to deal with it. And this is where you feel very, very strongly, where even organizations like the AU and the Southern African Development Community has basically rubber-stamped and legalized this deal, where the United States has now stationed its troops in the guise of military training in Mozambique.
Yes, and yeah, that's the thing. And I don't understand. There is a SADC standby brigade in Harare, a trained standby brigade where all SADC countries have contributed troops to that brigade. Why can't they take that brigade and put it in? African leaders sometimes, I don't understand them. They tell us, you hear them when they are, on different platforms talking about a homegrown solution, an African, solution, and this solution and that solution. And yet when it comes, to actually doing things on the ground, they do the opposite. Can't they move in? Can't they move in? I can assure you that an army like, to send the South African National Defense Forces alone, they can crash that insurgency, going on there. The Zimbabweans can know that terrain very well. The Zimbabwe National Army, they are very familiar with that terrain, because for years they fought Renamo there, and Renamo was equipped by the apartheid, regime. It was not a ragtag kind of, guerrilla organization. It was a well-equipped one. And they defeated it. So why can't they, go in there and a SADC? Oh, the African Union itself has a standby brigade as well. They call them standby brigade. Standby for what? And nothing, is being done. Can't they send, their standby brigade there and crush, these terrorists in that part of the world?
Yes, Dr. Mustafa, Jazakallah for that and for your time with us this morning in discussing this issue. And I'm sure we will definitely have further discussions on this matter as we see the situation developing and evolving in that part of the world. But for now, we thank you. Have yourself a great Jummah, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Brother Inaya.
Dr. Mustafa Mheta with us this morning, and this brings us to the end of this morning's broadcast. Once again, it's been wonderful. It's been great being in your company this Friday and also throughout the entire week, inshallah. Looking forward to next week once again. But for now, have yourself a wonderful Jummah, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media.